Welcome to the weekend edition of the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. Today's podcast features all the best segments from this week's slate of Undisputed. With in-depth interviews and discussions, we have a lot to talk about heading into next week. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Well, the Cowboys have not gotten a lot of good news this preseason. On the offensive line, Zach Martin injured his knee, and Travis Frederick is out with an autoimmune disease. They also have a group of unproven receivers after losing Jason Witten and Dez Bryant. On the defensive side, they have a young and inexperienced secondary and reportedly had a chance to trade for Earl Thomas, but chose not to do so. We're joined now by NFL columnist for the USA Today, Jarrett Bell, and we're so glad to have you.
Quick thought here. I've known Jarrett Bell since our days together way back when at the Dallas Times-Herald. And Jarrett Bell is an NFL authority. We appreciate you being here.
Okay, you have raised the
I have. I've raised the bar.
Right?
And you
I
can live
like
up
that,
to it.
though. I'm okay with that.
All right.
Well, since we do want to get your take on this, if the Cowboys are in trouble.
Well, you think about it this way. Every team in the NFL has some sort of adversity they're going to have to deal with at some point in the season. Now, we'll see if it gets any worse. You just can't predict these things. But remember, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year with a backup quarterback. The Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year without All-Pro left tackle Jason Peters.
That's true.
Darren Sproles, Hicks, the linebacker, Brandon Hicks. So you have to deal with these things. That's the challenge right now for the Cowboys, but it doesn't look good right now. Remember when Tyron Smith got hurt last year and they gave up like 6 sacks to one guy?
One guy, Adrian Claiborne. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what the Cowboys really have to be concerned about, is whether or not all of their best laid plans. You got Zeke back. He's being a good citizen.
Yeah.
You've got Dak back.
3 years in the system.
Exactly. So you've got all these things lined up. Oh, by the way, yeah, you mentioned the receiver, so that's going to be something they're going to have to develop. But, you know, over and all, it's like, hey, this is the NFL. You've got to put out fires. That's part of the job.
And when you were at Cowboy camp, what level of optimism did you sense?
Oh, I thought that they felt like at that time, and this is before the offensive line injuries, obviously, the first week or so of camp, they felt like everything was in place. The receiver situation was the big question back then, and how you develop that, you know, without Dez Bryant and Jason Witten, obviously. But, you know, you can do so much when you have Ezekiel Elliott, and you've got him running behind that offensive line. And there was a lot of talk back then at the start of camp about how they were going to incorporate Ezekiel Elliott in the passing game. I mean, you put him out in space. I remember that one play at Pittsburgh a couple years ago, and he takes a little dump-off pass and goes like...
Screen goes 80.
Yeah, exactly. So they can envision that. So, yeah, you know, the Cowboys have been kind of funny when it comes to the consistency thing. They're up 1 year. They're down 1 year. They're up another year. They're down another year. And this is supposed to be the year they're supposed to be up, right?
Yep, that's
so
true.
we'll see.
It's going to be very interesting. They could ill afford to lose these two guys. Zach Martin, he looks like he will probably be back. I doubt he'll play anymore in the preseason with that hyperextended knee. The more uncertain is Travis Frederick dealing with the autoimmune disease that he's dealing with. But if you lose those two guys and the lack of playmakers that they already are insufficient on offense, as you mentioned, there's no tight end that puts fear in you. There's no receiver that puts fear in you. You need to run the football with Zeke and then play action off of it, and maybe you're going to get some one-on-one coverage because they got to drop that guy down in the box to stop the run. Skip, they got really 3 playmakers on this entire team. Sean Lee, DeMarcus Lawrence, who I like to see a bigger body of work, and Zeke. That's it. That's it. Now, you lose those 2 offensive linemen, and I know Rod Smart did some good things filling in, but
Rod Smith.
Rod Smith.
Yeah.
But if you lose those 2 guys, it's hard for me to imagine that they're going to be able to run the football as effectively as without them. I just don't see it, Skip. I just can't see a situation you lose 2 of the top 5 or 6 offensive linemen in all of football, and you're going to be able to do exactly what you wanted to do offensively. I just don't see a scenario with that happening. And when they had their most success in 2016, ball control, they controlled the clock, and they kept their defense off the field. And when they hit the field, they were fresh and they could get after you. They play a lot of snaps. They're going to get worn down.
So you're telling me that no defensive coordinator in the National Football League fears Blake Jarwin? Because that's their new tight end, Blake Jarwin.
No.
Yikes.
No.
That's my new tight end, Blake Jarwin.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
What happened to your other guy? I thought you liked Rico. You was telling me
what
about
happened to
Rico.
Rico.
No, you was telling me all off Rico.
He's a
Watch
stud.
it.
I
Watch
think
it.
they're just missing the boat on him.
Basketball guy.
He's a big basketball guy. He's 6 feet 6 inches. of
Yeah, you saw
basketball
him.
guy.
How'd he look?
Oh, I've been watching him ever since he came off the basketball court at Baylor for a couple years now, and have always been, like the Cowboys, I'm sure, intrigued by his potential in the end zone. Okay, you're
Just
6
red
foot
zone.
6.
Yeah, just throw
and-
it to him.
Yeah, you do that. But here's the problem: the guy hasn't played much football, and in terms of not only being able to recognize coverages on the fly as you're playing and just really instinctively. And Shannon, you being a tight end, know as well as anybody. But talk about this for a second, Mr. Sharp, Mr. Hall of Famer. The skill of blocking for a tight end, even if you're not, quote unquote, a big time blocking tight end. How difficult is that?
Well, it seems to me that Jerry's saying he can block once he knows who to block. The thing for him is that when people move around, it's like he freezes. And that's the thing. Tell you, coach told me, he said, son, block the guy head up, inside eye, most dangerous man. Mm-hmm. That's what you go with that situation. And see, I guess from reading what Jerry said, as long as the guy doesn't move or the defense is stationary, he's good, Skip. But no defense is going to stay stationary. That's the whole thing, is to move around and cause confusion. So he's going to have to pick up those things. There's nothing like playing football. He's a basketball guy that doesn't have a whole lot of football plays up under his belt. So
I am here to predict that one Joe Looney is the Nick Foles of backup center. He's going to come in and he's going to make the Pro Bowl as Joe Looney. I don't think so. But
Well, here, let me give you a little silver lining in the, half full, half empty equation here when it comes to him. Of all the Cowboys' backup linemen, right? We know how good their front line is.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he's like the best of the backups.
I know, but is he Nick Foles of the backup centers? I don't know.
I wouldn't go that far.
You can't say that. But maybe, you're talking about a guy who is in his 7th year. He's been around. He started 13 games. He's had a lot of reps with the first team, and he's had to fill in here and there. So it's not like you're relying on just, a garbage man.
Jarrett Bell, I need you to explain one thing to me. There is one game-saving, game-changing, Shannon Sharp wrecking move that Jerry Jones could make. And it's on a silver platter. It is screaming to be made. Please do this deal.
Who?
It is Earl Thomas. It is please do it, because Earl Thomas obviously is from Texas, went to the University of Texas, and would love to end his career with the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys do have cap space to sign Earl Thomas, because it would take a lot of cap space, but they got it. And they do have next year's second-round pick, and by all reports, by all accounts, it would take only year 2 to get Earl Thomas. Now, would Seattle be foolish to do that deal, as Tony Dungy said? To me, they would, but if they would do that, it would be game over. It would rectify the situation of losing a Travis Frederick for maybe the whole year, because the odds are telling me that he's going to be gone for the year with this autoimmune.
At least half the year.
At least half the year, and even if he comes back, you're still fighting weakness, and he won't be a Pro Bowl center. So this is the move that changes everything, because if you add Earl Thomas to the locker room, what happens in the locker room the next day? We got Earl Thomas, man.
Yeah.
Does it kind of tick off some of the kid safeties they got? I don't care, but because Earl Thomas comes in and becomes the quarterback of the defense. Why wouldn't you do this? Why is Jerry resting on his Hall of Fame laurels? Because that's what he's doing. He used to be the ultimate NFL plunger. This is Charles Haley all over again. And by the way, in 1992, on August the 27th, Jerry Jones pulled off a trade for Charles Haley. And what did it do? It won the Super Bowl for Dallas. That's what he was, the catalyst to a Super Bowl defense that was a year away from being ready to go win a Super Bowl. And they did. So it's not too late. August 27th. We're not quite there yet, right?
That's the day, August 27th. And they've got Chris Richard, who was in Seattle, defensive coordinator, running the defense that Earl Thomas knows. They did bring in a safety this week, Jaron Johnson.
Jaron Johnson.
Jaron, okay.
Yeah. They got him from Seattle because he was coaching high school football in Seattle.
And gave him number 29.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
They thought they got Earl Thomas. They said, well, maybe we'll play like Earl Thomas.
We'll fool some people. But here's the deal. You said it, Skip. Jerry Jones used to be primed to make a move like this right then, right now. I think this kind of reflects what's kind of happened with the Cowboys in recent years in terms of Stephen Jones having more of the sway in the front office with Will McClay at his side. And Jerry has kind of, allowed them to do more of this. At least that's the sense I get. You talk to Jerry and, he'll tell you he's involved in all the decisions, which I'm sure he is, and they run things by him. But, the Cowboys have operated with a lot more caution. I mean, we're talking about Travis Frederick.
Caution and Cowboys in the same sense?
Think about it. I mean,
Zach Martin or Johnny Manziel.
Right.
That works.
Yeah, so that kind of underscores, the philosophy here. So I think there's some of that here, but at some point, you've got to make the move that can help you do it. And like you said, you've got the capital to do it from a trade standpoint, to give up the second-round pick. The money, we've seen safeties always devalued in terms of the draft and the money, but when you're talking about the best safety perhaps in the NFL, one of the top 2 or 3, then there's a case to be made for striking a deal that gets it done. And when you feel like you are this close to getting back and having to close the gap on the Eagles, which is not going to be easy on a lot of levels. We talk about the offensive line. Just think about the matchups against Philadelphia and who's going to block Fletcher Cox and Tim Jernigan. Shoot, week 1.
Bennett, Kawhi signed Bennett. They got Haloti Ngata.
Don't forget the guy who knocked
Brendan
the ball
Graham.
out of Brady's hand.
So you talk about the matchup. So, you do need something if you're the Cowboys to really kind of swing the
NFC is
momentum.
loaded this year. The NFC with Green Bay and New Orleans and the Rams and Minnesota, this is not going to be easy. They have their work cut out for them. And if you're down two offensive linemen, 2 of the top 5 or 6, 7 offensive linemen, at worst case scenario, Zach Martin is the number 1 right guard. Travis Frederick is at, by worst case scenario, the 3rd. If you like if you like Jason Kelsey, Alex Mack from Atlanta at center.
I'll buy that.
So you got 2, a top guard, the top 3 center, and you're going to be without 2 of those guys. Get Earl Thomas. It makes DeMarcus Lawrence's job a lot easier.
Everything feels better.
Everything. You got to have that guy. Because I think the secondary is the weak link of the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah. And yet Jerry Jones the other day dared to say that this defense has as much talent as any I've ever been around. What? Any? With the Dion is weird. Haley and Darren Woodson is weird.
Oh, my goodness.
So. They remember they had Tolbert, they had Russell Maryland, they had Casillas, they had Leon Lett.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just better not saying anything.
Especially that team won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's hard to quantify. How do you get better than winning the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
And when you start talking about best and never and stuff like that, there's got to have some restraint. So you got to have the kind of restraint in the messages, just like you've had the restraint on dealing for Earl Thomas, and you need to kind of flip that, right?
Flip it.
Yeah.
Do it, Jerry, now.
Time is now 2 weeks exactly
I
from
would be,
the beginning of the season.
Jared asked me did I have an actual storefront restaurant. I don't, but I will be serving dew along with my W's and L's in my restaurant this year.
Are you going to buy it from me?
No.
You owe me 11 cases.
Well, I would be down to 6.
Oh, down to 6. How are you going to do that exactly?
Because the Cowboys not making the playoffs.
Oh.
We do this every day, just so you
Cowboys
know.
not making the playoffs.
Yeah, I've caught the restaurant references, and I was like, wait a minute, where's this place?
Well, we're glad you're here because Jared has been closer to the national anthem story than anyone, and we are going to get your take next.
No mercy.
The Patriots made an already thin group of receivers even thinner yesterday by releasing veteran Kenny Britt. He's the 3rd receiver New England has let go since the start of training camp. Tom Brady has been working with a new cast of characters after losing Danny Amendola, Malcolm Mitchell, and Jordan Matthews. Britt's release led many to connect the dots to Dez Bryant, but NFL Network reported the Patriots have, quote, probably no interest in Dez. Shannon, should the Patriots have any interest in Dez?
I think they should explore it. They should do their due diligence, and I'm sure they will. Coach Belichick does not look at outside pressures and say, well, this guy can't do this, he can't. They'll do their homework, Skip. They'll do their evaluations, and Coach Belichick will come to the conclusion, can this guy help us? And if he comes in here, can he conform to the Patriot way? Can he come in here, do his job without causing disruptions? That's what Coach Belichick looks at, because we thought there's no way he and Corey Dillon's going to make it a day. There's no way he and Randy Moss are going to make it a week. And arguably, they had the greatest statistical season in the NFL history with Randy Moss, and they won a Super Bowl with Corey Dillon. So clearly he knows how to handle combustible personalities. The question is that you trade Brandon Cooks, you cut Malcolm Mitchell, you cut Jordan Matthews, you just cut Kenny Britt. You're going to be the first 4 games without Julian Edelman. Okay, that leaves you with Eric Decker. That leaves you with Hogan. They drafted this young kid, but he's a rookie. You have Gronk. Outside of that, Skip, the thing that's concerning with me, Dez has basically been the X receiver lining up on the left side of the football.
Every time.
He doesn't play, he's not a move guy. I don't know this for certain, but it looks to me when I watch them play, it looks like Hogan could play Amendola slot, Amendola can play Hogan slot, who could then play Edelman slot, who could then play wherever. The question is, how fast could you get Dez up to speed where he could do all these things? That's the question, Skip. It's not easy when you haven't been a guy that's played multiple positions and all they've done was allow you to learn one position. The thing for us, Skip, when I played in Denver, I had to know what Rod Smith had to do, who was X. I had to know what Ed had to do, who was Z, what the zebra position had to do. I was the Y. But we had to know just in case somebody get nicked. Yeah, they had backups, but Mike felt comfortable if somebody got nicked in the starters that unless it was like, say, Willie Green or someone that was proven, he felt more comfortable moving myself or Ed or Rod to one of those positions and playing. So the question is, Dez having only played X receiver, lining up and not moving basically his entire career, how soon could he get caught up to speed? Because what we've heard is that the Patriots have a very, very complicated playbook. And you play, and Tom Brady, and one thing that what got Tom Brady upset last week that caused him to punt the ball in the crowd, Skip? They were dropping passes. If you don't mind me asking, in 2017, who dropped the most passes in NFL? Okay. I don't know if it's a great match. Dropping the ball, putting the ball on the dirt, and not being able to play multiple positions. It doesn't seem like a match made in heaven to me.
So, you know how I now feel about Bill Belichick when it comes to Tom Brady. If he decides that Dez Bryant can in no way help Tom Brady, he'll sign him.
Stop it, Skip.
He'll sign him.
Only you would come to that kind of realization and
Only
rationalization.
me, and I think I'm right about that. But back to your premise. Corey Dillon had some baggage when Bill Belichick took a shot with him.
He did.
But was Corey Dillon in the middle of his prime? Yes, he was. You could say he was later in his prime, but he was still in his prime.
Yeah.
Was Randy Moss still in his prime? Yes, he was. He had his best season ever, 2007. Chad Ochocinco. Now, Chad Johnson, my friend, our friend here on the show, he still had something left in the tank when Bill brought him in. And it was very different because Bill knew Chad.
Right.
Bill had worked out other players where Chad had been at workouts at the LA Coliseum here, and Chad can run all day. And Chad's got a big heart and loves to play football. He never ran the most precise routes in Cincinnati because he could mostly just run by people, as you know, and let TJ Houshmandzadeh run all the underneath stuff. And it took Chad a long time to get on Tom Brady's wavelength. But Tom loved him, and finally they got him one ball in the Super Bowl. Remember that? Okay. But it didn't really work out. But all the players with baggage, Albert Haynesworth, LeGarrette Blount, Aqib Talib, Brandon Browner, I could go on and on. They all could still play, right? I'm not sure Dez can still play. I'm not sure what's left. I saw broken down last year. I saw shell of self. And to your point, I saw a guy who had lost a little bit of speed and a little bit of quickness and just couldn't separate anymore because he can't out-route you. You know, like he was never forced. He was always so much better than everybody, so much bigger and stronger, high point the ball, jump volume, that he never had to rely on supreme route running to escape, right, to get open. Well, last year he did, and he couldn't do it because he's never had to do it before.
Right.
Well, with this quarterback, you have to be on a dime.
Right.
You got to be exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly when you're supposed to be there. And
there's no ad-libbing.
There's no ad-libbing. This would be, to me, I couldn't pick a receiver that would be a worse fit for Tom Brady than Dez Bryant at this stage of his career.
Right.
Maybe if Tom got him in his first year or two, you could figure it out.
Right.
But now, really?
Because the thing let's just say when Chad Ochocinco was in Cincinnati, and he was with Carson Palmer, they might have an outbreaking route. But the way, if the DB lined up outside, Chad would run in, break it, and Carson would know that.
He would just know.
Right. But that's not how most offenses are.
No.
If you're supposed to go outside, you run the outside right.
I agree. And Chad was as great a deep threat for those couple of years as you will ever see in this
And he can
league.
run the route tree. Chad was tremendous. He run that speed out where you 10 roll to 12 and fall off the table. His end cut. I mean, he was nimble on his feet. Dez is not a tap guy.
Yeah.
So it's not a good fit, Skip, to my eye. But Coach Belichick, what he does is that he can see things that from the outside we may not see.
Maybe.
So, but I believe Coach Belichick would do his due diligence. They will look at it. They'll come to a conclusion. Either he can or he can't, and they'll move on. My bigger concern for Dez, how's his confidence? Yeah, we're getting ready to start.
Be very good.
Yeah, we're getting ready to start the season.
Yeah, and to your point, you got to learn this in what?
In 10
practices? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And the thing is, when you they try to force feed it to you,
Yeah.
and then you get brain overload, and then you what is that? Tom Brady. Listen, when Tom Brady come out the huddle, he's not really trying to tell you, it's going to be this coverage and this is what you need to do. Tom Brady needs to know everybody knows what they're supposed to do and get to where they're supposed to get to. Tom's I got enough on my plate. Can't be worried about do you know what you need to do.
So it has come to this for Dez Bryant. Look how desperate New England appears to be, in part because Bill Belichick keeps making bizarre decisions, but he traded Brandon Cooks. Was he not Tom Brady's most reliable deep threat, his only deep threat last
Best
year?
deep threat since Randy.
So he got a first back for him. That works.
Yeah.
But the Rams immediately gave Brandon Cooks 5 years and $80 million with $50 million guaranteed. What does that tell you that the Rams thought of Brandon Cooks? Thank you very much, Bill, right? And then the Patriots acquire my guy, Jordan Matthews from Vanderbilt University, the all-time leading receiver, catches and yards in the Southeastern Conference. And I think, okay, this will work because he's a good kid, big heart. He's sort of like Chad, loves to play football, hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he couldn't really stay healthy, but gone. Malcolm Mitchell had a good Super Bowl against Atlanta. Looked like he had some game to him, and he couldn't quite stay healthy, and he's gone. And Kenny Britt, I thought he had something left in the tank, and he's a big, strong receiver. Couldn't stay healthy. Gone. Julian Edelman, gone for the first 4 games.
Right.
So it's down to Chris Hogan and Philip Dorsett, and I'm not sure about whether he's ever going to figure it out.
They do have Cordarrelle Patterson.
Okay, and he's a kick returner who might moonlight a little bit as a receiver, but just moonlight. And your guy from Denver, Eric Decker, who's bounced around now and has been battered. Yep, and he can't catch consistently. And so you would think this would be the perfect landing place for Dez Bryant, and I would bet against this. I just think there's no way.
What this tells me, Skip, that Coach Belichick is not going to let you suck up his air conditioning and get his ice bath if you're not going to be able to contribute. These guys were nicked, and Coach Belichick says you're not going to get healthy on my time and not be able to contribute or be able to contribute in a timely manner. Coach Belichick ain't got time to be waiting for a guy to get ready by week 6, week 7. I need you to start the season. And it doesn't look – and if Coach Belichick looks at it like this, and I've always felt this: if you limp into the season, you limp out the season. And here are guys that are nicked up in camp, Skip. They can't get on the same. Tom needs time, and Tom hadn't played with any of these guys, so he needs to work, and he can't get it.
So what do I always tell you about Tom Brady? I believe that for the season opener, a half hour before kickoff, he could walk up into the 5th or 6th row and say, you 3 guys from Southie, you 3, just come down here. I'm going to show you how to play receiver, and I'm going to go win this game with you 3 from Southie. That's what I think he could do.
I think Aaron Rodgers could do that because he would know how to talk to guys.
Really?
Aaron Rodgers know how to talk. He's like, look, guys, this is what we're going to do. I want you to line up here.
Yeah, because he would talk their language a little better than Tom Brady from wherever he's from, right? From San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
But he's a Bostonite now. He's been in Boston
he has.
long enough. So,
yeah. So I want to remind everybody, despite all of this going on with the lack of receivers,
you want him to sign Dez?
The New England Patriots are still the favorite to win it all.
Do you
know why that is? Because they still have the best quarterback. Simple.
Do you want them to sign? Do you want them to sign Dez?
I do not. Absolutely not.
That's a shame.
No, I do not.
They're going to have to find help somewhere. If he picked you out of the crowd, do you think you could get the job done?
I'd be good. I can run all day. I can tell you that.
So confident.
I can run all day.
First of all, at the pace you're going, they're going to need you to speed that up a little bit.
I run those 6:30s. I can still do 6:30.
Man, the first time you burst, you're going to pull a hamstring.
I don't know about that.
Skip, you ain't had to run that pace. I know you can run distance. You probably run for an hour straight.
Oh, I'll run for more than that.
It's about more my style. Oh, more than that. Okay, I did set you up for that one.
No mercy.
Rob Riggle Ski Master Academy, which premieres Thursday. Rob, welcome
Thank
to
you.
Undisputed. Tell us more about the show.
It's Rob Riggle Ski Master Academy. It's as obnoxious and as crazy and as ridiculous as it sounds. It's an idea I've had for a while, and finally the good people at Sony Crackle decided to make it, and I'm very glad they did. It's basically, the backstory is I have created this. I'm part of a franchise of movies called the Ski Master movies, kind of like the Fast and the Furious. Okay. What Vin Diesel is to Fast and Furious, I am to the Ski Master movies, which don't exist, by the way. This is all fiction. And so I've decided to open a Ski Master Academy, basically a jet ski academy. And we have hilarious cadets, hilarious instructors. Brian Urlacher has opened a canoe camp across the lake from my jet ski academy, and it's very Rockwellian, and it pisses me off, basically. And so just hilarity ensues and chaos, and if it happens, if it could happen, it happens on this show. So it's a lot of fun.
So speaking of hilarity, one of my favorite moments on our Fox NFL Sunday show, our pregame show here on Fox, is the skit or bit that you do. 22 straight weeks of coming up with clever and funny, and I don't know how you do it. Could you give us some of the backstory to how you have to keep coming up with those?
Yeah, it's a very narrow lane with which to do comedy. And like you said, 22 weeks in a row, I got to come up with a new bit. And luckily, I work with Bennett Weber and Chris Peasy, two great, comedians and producers themselves. So all three of us get together and we just decide. The hardest week is the first week because there's nothing to play off of. As the season gets going, personalities pop out, stories start to develop. We can play and parody and do stuff off that. Or big matchups, we can play with that stuff. But that first week is always like, now 2 years ago, the Brady suspension was, that was in the summer leading in. So we were like, great, we're going to do the Garoppolo thing. We'll do a parody of Hamilton. And so we did that. And then last year we were like, they brought dances back into the end zone. So we went out and got Icky Woods and we did this whole dance number well, this year was like, I don't know what we're going to do we're still working out what we're going to do for the opening, of the thing. But I have like a minute 45 to make my picks, to do a comedy bit, to make it G-rated, and to keep it football-centric without really upsetting anybody. These days, almost impossible.
Yep.
You're a comedic actor.
Yeah.
How much do you get to ad-lib in a movie?
Honestly, a lot. Because that's kind
of where you live.
Well, yeah, it's going to sound like a humble brag, but that's what I do best, is when I get to improvise.
Right.
And for me, in order for me to sell something, a line or a bit, I kind of have to make it my own by taking ownership of the words.
Right.
So the script will say one thing, and I know I get the intent, like I understand.
Right.
Now, if there's a key word in there that I have to hit that sets something up for another actor or something for the story, I'll hit that.
Right.
Other than that, though, I try to take ownership of the words and I'll use my own verbiage, and then I can sell it better. So, and then also, if I know what the intent is, I can ham it up a little bit. I can add certain things. I can improvise a little more. And so, long answer to an easy question, I do improvise quite a bit.
Do they ever tell you to rein it in and says, no, just stick to this?
Yeah, sometimes they do. But that's part of the fun of it. It's an experiment. You roll the dice. Sometimes it pays off great.
Right.
And sometimes they're like, you know what? Let's go back to the script.
Yeah.
And you're like, no problem. Had to give it a shot.
Let's talk some on-the-field football because you are a born and bred Kansas City Chiefs fan, and you have a new, young, rifle-armed quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, he threw a rocket the other night to Tyreek.
Off balance, 70 yards in the air. And I'm telling you, the Chiefs have never been vertical. We've just never been a vertical team at all. And now, I don't even know what to do with myself. We've got Kareem Hunt in the backfield. You've got Travis Kelce doing the short routes. And now we've got Tariq going full. You got Watkins who could come and do post and flag routes. The potential for our offense is off the charts, and the era of Mahomes has begun. And
There it is.
I'm celebrating it like you
Look at
can't
this.
imagine. Like this has never been part of the Chiefs' repertoire.
3 Falcons trailing.
So what are your expectations of the Chiefs? What would be success for the Chiefs this year?
Success for the Chiefs. Look, nobody loves the Chiefs more than I do, but I'll be honest. I would love to win a playoff game. How about we start there?
Okay.
I would love to win our division. Obviously, you start with the crawl, walk, run. Let's just start here. Let's start at A. Let's win our division.
Okay.
If we win our division, fantastic. Then let's win that first playoff game. And after that, it's all gravy for me because we get to the playoffs pretty consistently. We're a pretty consistent playoff team. We just don't do anything in the playoffs, and that's got to stop. That's got to stop. We need something to get us over that hump, and I think Patrick Mahomes is the guy. And don't get me wrong, Alex Smith, I love him. I love him as a professional football player, and I love him as a person.
You get to know him a
I
little
did.
bit?
I got to know him, and I got to spend time with him at the NFL Honors last year, and I think the world of him. He's just a solid guy and a great performer. He took us to the playoffs 5 years in a row. He won 2 division titles for us.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion. But it's business. And
Will you root for him?
of course I will.
Washington?
As long as he's not playing us, I'll be rooting for him. I'll be rooting for him. But the era of Patrick Mahomes has begun, and I'm very excited about it because his talent is. It's going to be unfolding for quite a while. It's going to be awesome.
So how do you feel about Tom Brady looking better than ever at age 41?
You know, again, you're talking about the greatest of all time, in my opinion. I think he's.
But Joe Montana, he asked you about Tom Brady, not Joe Montana.
I'm sorry. I love Joe Montana too. He was great, but you got to look at it. I mean, Tom Brady he's the greatest of all time as of right now. Until Patrick Mahomes. Give him
give him a year
20
maybe.
years. But yeah, no, Tom, and I know Tom too, and he's a fantastic guy as well. I'm very happy for him. He works hard. He's out there. He works with coaches. I've never seen anybody, when I watched something he did with a coach where he really works on his precision, his hand placements. He really is into the technical aspects of it. And you put that with his experience and his natural abilities and the technical performance. At 41, he's still a contender.
But I'm sure you'll find some way to skewer him this year in a bit, right?
Look, it's my job.
I know, that's what you do.
We got to have fun with these guys. Yeah. And I've gotten to know a lot of the NFL players, like Urlacher. The reason he did this TV show with us, Ski Master Academy, he and I did a USO tour together, and we bonded on that tour, and we had so much fun that we just became golfing buddies and we hang out. And then, of course, the first person I thought of, who was like the most wholesome to have this canoe camp that I could be really rude to and just be a jerk to, Brian Urlacher. He's a big sweetheart. And so that's why we went out and got him. And I love playing with these guys. So, yeah, they all have a good sense of humor.
Last question. Have you ever, or you can go ahead and ask
go ahead.
one. Have you ever offended any of those guys on our Fox set? Terry, Howie, Michael, Jimmy?
No, I don't want to ever offend them.
Yeah.
That's not my business. I don't want to offend them. Do I like to tease and
Yes, you
play?
do.
Because the good thing is we know each other now, so they know if I give them the business, it's because I love them.
Right.
It's not because I'm trying to hurt them or take a dig or do anything like that. Do I bust their beans? Yeah,
Yes,
I
you
bust
do.
their beans a little bit because that's what I do.
They seem to like it.
They do, and I think it does start with knowing each other. Like the first year, they didn't know me from a hole in the wall, and they're like, "Who's this guy giving me a hard time?" But as we got to know each other, they figured out, "Oh, I'm not out to hurt them. I love them, but I do have to give them a hard time."
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
I did play at Denver for a little while.
I remember that. I also remember you said something about Arrowhead.
I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
Something about 75,000 farmers screaming at you at once or something. Wasn't that?
Did you say that?
No. I was very respectful to all fans.
Farmers?
They harassed me, Skip. They
Oh.
forced me to say things.
They're not farmers.
No, Kansas
It's
City's
a
great.
big metropolitan area.
I love playing in Kansas City. You know, you're not going to win the division unless you can beat the Broncos.
Right. And I got to tell you, look, the Broncos have been they've been pretty dominant in our division for a long time. Obviously, they're traditionally a powerhouse in the AFC. However, I think this year they're going to be a little thin. This year, I think it goes. My dream
Chargers.
is it's going to go Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos.
I think that's what's going to happen.
That's the division.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because I know that
Tough
upsets
year.
you, Shannon. But
No, I don't really see it playing out.
Rob, thank you
Okay.
for being here, and
Way to
best
go,
luck
Rob.
on the new show. And we love what you do with us on Sundays.
Oh,
we
thank
love
you.
it. My favorite is the Adele hello.
Oh,
that
thank
was
you.
bring that one
Thank
back
you.
in
Yes.
some capacity.
I'm always trying to find out. At least once a season, we're going to get a musical thing in there.
Oh,
Once a season.
so good. Unbelievable. All right, thanks again.
No mercy.
Alabama was ranked #1 in the preseason AP poll for a record-tying third straight year, but not everyone is praising Nick Saban. An anonymous college football coach ripped Saban, calling him overrated, and that any coach could win if they have the best recruiting class every year. He added, quote, "It's like saying an NFL coach is the best coach in the league if he gets 25 first-round picks every year." We're joined now by Fox college football analyst Joel Klatt. Glad you're with us.
Good to be here.
An
Yeah, but
exciting
You're
season.
not going to be glad.
Yeah.
After I speak.
It's too
man.
soon. I do want to start with you, Skip,
Thank
because
you.
Get
Thank
ready.
you.
I
I'm the
feel like you're
college
ready for
football
this.
expert on this table, right?
Well, we'll see.
do you agree with this anonymous coach?
I do agree that Nick Saban is overrated as a football coach. I still don't believe he's the overall football coach that Jim Harbaugh is, even though I cannot defend Jim Harbaugh's results so far at Michigan. But allow me to detail this.
Please.
If I was able to coach Alabama and you gave me these recruiting classes from 2011 to 2017, second in the country, then 1, second and 1. So 5 out of 7 years I'd have the best recruiting class, and twice I'd have the second best. I just think I could win one national championship with all that talent, because you're stockpiled 3 deep at every position with blue chips. Every position. So we look at Nick Saban as a football coach, and I'm going to remind you, he did try pro football once, and it lasted 2 years, and it was pretty close to a disaster. He did go 9-7 the first year, but they missed the playoffs in Miami. And then he went 6-10 the next year, and he was gone. And I'm going to just to play him off Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh did turn around San Diego, then he turned around Stanford, and everybody thought he was going to turn around Michigan. And what has he done at Michigan? On defense, he's had the 4th best defense and the 1st best defense and the 3rd best defense for 3 years. He has had no quarterback for 3 years. Now he's got one, I think, in Shea Patterson. He looked like he was a quarterback to me at Ole Miss. So let's see how he does this year when he has a real, live, authentic college football quarterback. Because I look at what Jim Harbaugh did at San Francisco as an NFL coach. It was extraordinary. He walks in the door and they go 3 straight years to NFC championship games. And one of those years they made it to the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. He had the guts to change horses in midstream from Alex Smith to Colin Kaepernick. They should have won the Super Bowl. Colin threw a pass that was very controversial. I thought it was pass interference. They should have won the Super Bowl. That's how good Jim Harbaugh was at San Francisco. And I think he's still going to be very good at Michigan if the Michigan people can just hold on for one more year, because Nick Saban has had an embarrassment of riches at Alabama. And if you want to talk about best recruiter, I will give you that. But best overall coach, don't get me started on the 8 40-plus point games his defenses have given up over the years
He
at
almost got
Alabama.
them in the national championships, too.
Yeah, okay.
Got 6.
Well, I'm just not buying it. He can recruit. I don't know if he's the best coach, because I think Jim Harbaugh has proven to be.
Khaki pants ain't in the league.
All right, there was a lot there. Let me start with this.
Unpack it.
You said if you gave me that class, I might be able to win one national championship. No, you couldn't.
Give me 7 classes.
No, you couldn't.
Yes, I could.
You
How do you
also
know I
said-
couldn't?
You also talked about how Harbaugh can go out there with any quarterback and do extraordinary things.
No, I mean, he hasn't had one.
Okay, so that's the
He
only
finally got
limitation.
one.
That's the only limitation to Harbaugh.
Well,
And you
look
made
at-
this
look
a
at his-
Harbaugh-Saban thing. I love Jim Harbaugh, but
Okay, look at those
let me just tell you this.
defenses that he's put together at Michigan. They've been really good. They've been, dare I say,
great, and they haven't
Saban-esque.
they haven't been Saban-esque. In fact, if you go back to 2007, the year that Saban got to Alabama, since that point, Alabama is #1 in the country over that
Everything.
time frame in total defense, scoring defense, passing defense, rushing
Rushing
defense.
Really?
So they've been the best defense.
So I saw
and you can
Trevor
also
Knight
say,
score 45, and I saw Ole Miss score 43 and 43.
yeah, and
I saw
all of those,
Ohio
and they're
State
still
score
the number
42.
one, and they're still the number
What?
one defense. He's won
Well, I
5
don't know.
national championships.
Boy,
Hold
you're
on for a
making
second,
those numbers.
because you're claiming that Jim Harbaugh is only a quarterback away.
Yeah,
Okay,
at Michigan.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. This guy won a national championship with Jacob Coker.
Okay. Who
Did you?
was a
Hey, who did I
good
just
college
say?
quarterback?
Jacob Coker.
Okay, but
I mean,
but Nick Saban's MO has been, I will surround the quarterback with the best defense and
Sure.
the best running
And that's
game
his
and the best
job.
offensive line.
That's part of
and
being
I
a
don't
coach.
want a star quarterback.
In the world of the current day media landscape and the type of rhetoric and takes that get thrown out there, this take by this anonymous coach that Nick Saban is the most overrated coach in college football is the worst take I've ever heard. It is literally the worst take I've ever heard. This guy has been there for 10 years, and he's in 10 seasons, he's got 5 national championships and 4 home losses. He's got more national championships than he has lost games at Bryant-Denny. He's 66-4 since 2008. They've got the number 1 defense over his tenure. And guess what? In college football, it is about recruiting, and that's how we evaluate your ability to be a quality head coach. So the fact that he had the number 1 class from 2011 to 2017 means that he's a great coach. By the way, a lot of head coaches cannot recover when they lose assistants around him. Guess what Saban has done? He has been number 1 in the country at some point in every season since 2008, regardless of all the assistants that have left, regardless of style of quarterback play, regardless of quality of quarterback play.
No, Belichick
Nick
was made by his
Saban
quarterback,
is-
not Belichickian.
Nick
Opposite
Saban,
of.
Nick Saban is the best college football coach of this era and maybe ever. Because this decade of dominance that Bama has had has been unrivaled in the history of our sport. And to say otherwise is just not factually true.
Wait a second. I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan, and Bud Wilkinson won 47 straight games.
How many national
Will that
championships
ever
in
be
10
done
years?
again? No.
See what?
Well, I'm just
you know what?
saying.
That era was incredible.
Okay.
And it
And-
wasn't
and
a
you know
decade.
why?
And it wasn't a decade. All
Because
I'm saying is it wasn't a decade.
they
That
had the
5-year stretch
best
was
players.
incredible. But that's part of college football. No one says, hey, Ozzie Newsome, he ain't any good because, look, he got to draft Hall of Famers. That's his job.
I know, but it's the opposite of the NFL's reverse order drafting system because the worst shall be first. In this, it's a monopoly. You have a corner on the market because once it starts, it just feeds off itself. And year after year
So
after
that
year,
means
you got
he's
the best
overrated?
class.
That means he's
Okay,
overrated.
I told you he's a great recruiter. I don't know about coaching.
Well, that's the number one thing.
You don't know about coaching.
That's the
Did you
number-
hear
that's
what
the
I
number one
just
job
said?
of a
But that's
college
not the
coach.
whole.
That's the number one job of a college
Okay, but
coach.
if we're talking about all-around football coach, you cannot compare the resume of Jim Harbaugh and Nick
You
Saban
absolutely
it's
can.
not. You cannot.
You
He
absolutely
was a
can. Who
disaster
knows?
in pro football, Joel.
He went to
He
the
was a
playoffs his first year.
disaster.
First of all, he went to the playoffs his first year, and if that
did
front
not.
office wouldn't
He
have
did
botched
not.
the Drew Brees decision, he might still be in the NFL with multiple
He
Super
did not.
Bowls.
He did not make the playoffs either year. He went 9-7, 6-10.
But
out.
It was
Gone.
His
Fired.
His medical staff failed Drew Brees on the physical. So you flunk Drew Brees and you take Dante Culpepper. Who knows how things would have turned out?
Do you like Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, I like Colin
Okay.
Kaepernick.
So what did Jim Harbaugh say? He
But
said, "Watch
you're
what I
making
do with
this a
Colin
Harbaugh
Kaepernick."
Saban argument. I can love both of them. I can love both of them. And
But
I
I'm
can
just-
say Nick Saban is
Jim Harbaugh has
incredible.
shown me more as an all-around pro and college football coach than Nick Saban.
Has Jim Harbaugh won a conference championship?
No, he has not yet.
Won 2
Did
championships.
he
Didn't
win
he
a conference
come close?
championship?
Think about it if he'd have stayed at LSU, Skip.
Okay, he's only coached at Michigan for 3 years.
I understand,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying
They
to
got a
tear Jim
shot
Harbaugh,
this year.
But you used him as the example of what Saban isn't, and I'm just telling you you're wrong.
Okay, did Nick Saban win in pro football? No, he was this wipeout.
But you got
didn't work.
You have to have a quarterback in pro football, and he didn't get that, Skip. But people forget what Alabama was before Coach Saban got there. 3 of the 4 seasons they were losing under Mike Shula.
Mm-hmm.
He gets there, and they haven't looked back.
Okay, he's a great recruiter.
But that's the
That's
number
part
one.
of the
That's the
business.
number one job of a college coach. You got to get the horses. Skip, he has 5 titles. Bud Wilkinson, Coach Wilkinson, and that great. What was that? That was in the 40s or 50s.
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 Mm-hmm.
He won 3 national championships. Oh, I mean, but that ain't 5 in 10 years. So
Mm-hmm.
he won 3 in 3 consecutive years. What are the other 2? Coach Saban lost 1 with no time on the clock, so he should have 6.
I still can't get Joel's stat. Number 1 defense when you've given up 8 times 40-plus points in your tenure.
Skip!
How do you do that?
Can you tell him
Well, you add up all the points, and then you average them out, and then you do that across all teams, and you realize that Alabama's the best team.
In 120 games, he has 8 games he's given up 40-plus points. In 120?
If he's as great as you say, he should have no 40-point games.
Not in this day and age. That's just
40
unrealistic.
points?
That's just unrealistic.
Oklahoma once, Ole Miss twice, Clemson, Ohio State, Johnny Manziel. It's like 40. Really? That's
He got 4 losses at Bryant-Denny. Two
Four
of them came to Heisman Trophy winners. Cam Newton and Johnny Manziel. You can't hang your hat on. You can't be mad at that. The 2 best college players that year hang an L on you.
It's a very flimsy limb when you get out there in the Nick Saban is overrated area.
Well, the good news
You
is
talk about khaki pants is in his league. Now, if you want to say coach.
in his league as a coach? Yes, he is.
No.
I'm just glad college football's back, and we can keep this conversation
Oh,
going.
I'm sure we will.
I'm sure throughout the year. And don't forget to check out Joel's top 25 on the Fox College Football
Let me give you a
Twitter
heads
and
up who
Facebook
number 1
pages.
is.
Joel, Gus, and I, we kick off our season next Thursday on
Number 7.
FS1.
No mercy.
Well, LeBron had NBA Twitter going crazy last night after this picture surfaced of the King playing a little basketball at UCLA with Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. The Lakers didn't give LeBron a big-name sidekick for this season, but help could be on the way next summer. ESPN reported Kawhi still prefers to sign with the Lakers or Clippers, and LeBron reportedly reached out to Durant earlier this summer to gauge his interest in teaming up. Shannon, what do you read into this little photo we saw?
Nothing, because we've seen, the only thing that's added is Kawhi. We've seen KD and LeBron play summer after summer together right here in UCLA. Earlier, Westbrook and James Harden was playing against each other. And this is where the top basketball players come. Everybody seems to be moving to LA or coming to LA, or at least when they're in LA, they go to UCLA. Started going to get my kicks and get me a game or 2 in, you know.
You?
Yeah, I got next.
You don't play basketball?
Next. Who want to run? I might not pick KD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, me, Bron, Kawhi, Jetty.
You don't want the best player on your team. Right?
Yeah, I get KD a run. But I don't make anything out of this, Skip. I mean, they're just working out. I mean, this is what they do. This is what basketball NBA players do. If they're here in LA, they want to get a good game in. They know that's where the other NBA players are playing at. They go over there and play. And now, somehow we were able to swing that, make that happen. Bang! Can you imagine that in 2019, Skip Bayless? Bron, KD, Kawhi?
Yeah.
Boy, somebody be in a heap of trouble.
Good to me.
Oh, and Kawhi, they say Kawhi look good, too. They say Kawhi that fire 100%.
Really?
That's what they say now. If it's a lie,
I read one report that he lasted 3 minutes in a pickup game, and then he said he was hurt or something.
No, don't do that.
I don't know.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. They say he look good.
Really?
That's what they said.
Maybe it was a bogus report.
I don't know who they are, but they said it. And if it's a lie, they told it.
Yep. So, here's what's happening in Toronto. Toronto is pulling out every stop to try to convince Kawhi Leonard to stay in Toronto.
True.
They have signed Jeremy Castleberry, or signed him away from the Spurs. He was a former Spurs assistant who grew up with Kawhi, played high school and also college basketball with Kawhi Leonard. And obviously they insisted in the trade that Danny Green would be thrown in because he was Kawhi's best friend on the Spurs. So now we see Masai Ujiri, the GM there, who's known to be very player-friendly, although it didn't end very well with DeMar DeRozan, but they were very close. That's why DeMar was so hurt, is he thought they were so tight, and then suddenly he felt like he got duped at the end. He didn't get told the truth about what was happening about
Those are the ones that get you, Skip.
That is correct. But Masai has a reputation for being able to bond with players. So he thinks, which is why he spent a pretty serious commodity, he gave up DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard, that he thinks he can keep him, and they're going to try to convince Kawhi that he, the North, not we, the North, that he, the North, and he should stay up there in Toronto. So I ask you, what's he have left in him? I don't even know.
Kawhi?
He hasn't played in so long. How do you know that? Because I don't know what he is anymore. I think he went completely over the edge, and he's going to be, you want to talk about rusty, and you want to talk about new pressure that he's never experienced. He thinks he had pressure in San Antonio. Wait until this. Like, the world is going to be waiting and watching to see what's the new Kawhi like in Toronto. And I don't know. Is it possible that he won't quite be the old Kawhi?
I have no question in my mind he's going to be the old Kawhi.
Really?
Skip, you keep talking about rusty. Well, see, I grew up in the rural South, and outside we had what we call a spigot. You know, sometimes you turn it on and brown water would come out, but we let it run for a little while and just the water be just as pure and pretty. I was like, ooh, this some good old tasting water. Let Kawhi get a couple of games up under his belt.
Really?
Yeah. He'll be right back, 26 points, probably about 3 or 4 assists, probably about 5, 6 rebounds that y'all going to miss in San Antonio.
Yeah. I think we're going to be pretty good without him because we were pretty good without him last year.
So you
played 9 games and we won 47.
DeMar DeRozan, huh?
Yep. Yep.
Equal.
They're not equal. But that was the old Kawhi, and you're talking about the new Kawhi. The new Kawhi sort of went over the edge. His uncle took over all of his affairs, and I think
y'all ain't treat him right.
He crumbled psychologically, and I just don't know if he's ever going to quite get it back to that level.
He gonna get him a haircut. Gonna get him a cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gonna cut them braids off. Watch Kawhi gonna be new.
Wouldn't it be funny if Toronto, after a year, decided we just really don't love him?
They don't have.
No.
That would never happen.
No.
Skip, first of all, they maxed out DeMar DeRozan. They're going to max this kid out. They're going to do everything just like you guys wanted to do. $220 million for a guy that had a thigh injury that you say he might not be the same.
That was never offered to my knowledge. I don't know anything about that.
So in other words, you're telling me if Kawhi would have said, you know what, Coach, you're right. Handled the situation wrong. I apologize. I'm ready. I want to come back. They're going to say no. That's what they would have said. Is that what you're telling me right now?
I don't know.
You do know.
I know when Greg Popovich came all the way to San Diego to sit and look him in the eye, it wasn't that Greg Popovich needed to find out what was. He needed to hear it from Kawhi that I'm with you guys. He needed to see what was in his heart, like look in his window panes of eyes down into his soul. What's in there? And I think he came away thinking, not much.
They didn't sit face to face. He was in one room, Kawhi was in the other. Kawhi was yelling out, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You're upset, your hubby. You in one room, he in the other, y'all yelling back and forth. You make me sick. I ain't going. It take you too long to get dressed. That's what Kawhi was doing to Coach Pop. I don't want to be there, Pop. Now get out my house.
I think there's a good chance that Magic Johnson will not want Kawhi Leonard after
Magic
this
Johnson
year.
want the best players, just like Greg Popovich wanted the best players.
All right.
And
maybe Kawhi won't prove to be that guy anymore.
Well, I mean,
you're going to bet on him?
All things being equal, we'd rather have KD.
Yeah.
But nice consolation prize is old Kawhi.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I thought you were good to go this year. You don't really need any help. Isn't that what you keep?
Oh, we're going to get 3 or 4. We're going to get the 3 or the 4 seed. We're going to get 54 games.
Huh.
But I'm saying moving.
5?
No, 54.
Oh, 54. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying in free agency, now we might get old Kawhi by the trade deadline once it becomes painfully obvious that he's not going to re-sign with we the North. He don't want to be the baby. He don't want to be a baby dinosaur. Nope.
Well, it may be his only option.
It's not his only option. When you're about to be 26 years old, I think he's 26.
We'll be 27.
He'll be 27. When you 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, you a 2-time first-team All-NBA, you an NBA Finals, you always have choices. Multitude of choices.
Really?
Yes.
But when you quit on the classiest...
He didn't quit, he was hurt.
He quit on the classiest organization in all of sports and crumbled under the pressure to become the face of the franchise and the new Tim Duncan of the Spurs. Not that he's Tim Duncan, but the new leader of the Spurs. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't stand up to that role. So I don't know if he can stand up to being LeBron's sidekick. I would really question that.
He can stand up to it. Yeah. Why? Tough, made of the right stuff.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he still got braids. Man, who braided hair like that? Everybody got dreads now, or twisted. He got them old school cornrows. Let you know he hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he may find out that it's a lot easier in Toronto because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
He don't want to be there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there?
Nope. He want to be in the L.A.
Really?
Yep.
So he's going to be a Clipper, you're telling me? No?
Well, he can be a Clipper. We get KD. We get KD. He can be whatever. He can be a king for all I care. We want KD. And I'm rolling out the red carpet for KD. Just so you know, I will be saying nothing more inflammatory about Kevin Durant. Because you know what happened. The Clippers, they fired Bruce Bowen for, derogatory comments
about Kawhi.
Why?
And what did Bruce say? What did he say?
I don't care what Bruce said.
Oh, really?
I'm not saying anything bad about KD. KD my homie.
Yep. Bruce Bowen laid it right out on the table.
He laid nothing out.
Yep. He spoke the unvarnished truth about Kawhi Leonard, is that he quit on a very classy organization.
He did not quit. Skip, he was hurt. Will you stop saying he quit? Because he didn't. He was hurt.
He had a thigh bruise.
So?
And trust me, that resonated around the NBA, and a lot of people raised an eyebrow about, really? You're going to bet the max on this guy?
Skip, he's an NBA basketball player. So if any part of his lower extremity is injured, it makes it very hard for him to do his job.
So
you understand that, right?
He came out of hiding yesterday for the first time. That's the first
He ain't
picture
been
I've
hiding.
seen of him. You know, that's the first time I've seen him in almost
He
a
look
year.
good too, don't he? Look at it. Got a beard, that thing growing in
Good.
there.
It's
That
a
thing
good
used
photo.
You know, it looks like he's gained weight.
He ain't gained. You know what, Skip?
Now he's
He
gained
does.
weight?
I think he's gained weight.
'Cause he's-
I remember this.
Does he not look? I know
No.
Kawhi Leonard. That guy. I don't
This guy
think
right here.
I wonder if he's been.
He loved Kawhi. He was the best player, the best two-way player.
And then
now
somehow-
you just dumping on him.
Because of what he did to you.
because he dumped on us. He quit. He
Skip.
wouldn't play with a thigh bruise.
He was hurt.
You had like a perpetual thigh bruise playing the national
But that's
football
different,
league.
Skip. We're wired different.
Okay.
Football players are expected to play hurt or injured. More so than basketball, baseball. You already know they sneeze and something happened to them. They not playing. They get a thumbnail or
You know what? I'm offended he's even in that picture.
Wow,
he doesn't
whoa, whoa,
belong
whoa,
in it. I'm
whoa,
sorry, he just doesn't.
Where is this going, Skip?
I mean, I don't know how Jetty's in there too, so I guess.
Jetty, because that's Bron's guy.
Yeah, okay.
Bron loves Jetty.
I know. Jetty came big for him. He played some big
Yeah,
minutes,
I like
made some big
Jetty.
plays.
But KD, my guy, though.
KD is not your guy.
Yeah, he is.
You keep you're talking about dissing.
KD, good people.
Oh, good people?
Yep.
Yeah, because he could save LeBron's legacy next year.
Yep.
I like the way that photo looks.
Yeah.
I think this could be kind of fun.
Ooh, can you imagine?
Look
Can you imagine?
how much taller KD is than LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And LeBron get average more rebounds a game. How is that possible?
I don't think he did last year.
He did.
No?
He did every year. Look it up.
Yeah. Look it up.
Yeah. You just mad because Kawhi's out of San Antonio.
No,
He
I'm
gonna
not.
link up with Bron.
Nope. You're going to find out that this guy is not the Kawhi of old.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20, Skip, 27? The dude is about to be 27. And is a two-time Defensive Player of the Year and a Finals MVP.
Sometimes people just lose it.
That don't
lose their way.
No, he ain't lost it. Nope.
He just lost you a bit.
Watch. No.
No, you lost your way.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Monday for another week of Undisputed. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.